Hello and welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. It is a live Super Bowl edition as we are on episode 496. Appreciate everybody joining us out here live. NFL honors happening right now, and I'm just expecting, without even looking, that our Seahawks will just probably claim every single reward out there, Adam.
Hey, they ought to. It's been a hell of a year. In episode 496, going to bring in championship number 2 for this team. I like it, man. This is fun. I've been looking forward to this show all week. I know you guys got to do preview for What If with Mr. Phil and Clinton. And so you've been talking about this a little bit. And man, there's a lot to go over within this game and lots of reasons to be excited. I think reasons to be confident. I think that it's also a real team we're facing. They're not the Niners, but I think that this is going to be a game that when we look back on it, it's going to be a fun ride in with the Lombardi in the hands of the Seattle Seahawks. I'm fired up for it, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to feel confident. And I think part of it, too, is just hearing from so many other football fans going into this game that have that expectation for our Seahawks, too. Because I feel like as a Seattle fan, we're very much used to being the underdogs. And it doesn't seem that way going in, especially, when you look at the lines, the betting public, you look at just the attitude, I feel like, of everybody. And that part of it has me a little bit concerned because, one, I'm not used to feeling that way. And two, it does seem like that has come back to bite some teams in recent memory who have been favorites.
Yeah, it has. It's not always what you think in the Super Bowl. No doubt about that. So let's start at kind of that 10,000 foot view in the idea of the Seahawks being the favorite coming into this game. We'll start with the line. Not that this is about the gambling aspect of it, but it just gives you an idea of where the public consciousness is on this. Last I saw, Hawks at 4.5, so favored by 4.5 points. I honestly think the line should be 7.5. I think that would be more accurate. Now, I mean, a lot of people would disagree with that.
I think it really does. I mean, that's like historically high. Like I want to say the last time that we had one over a touchdown was probably, oh man. I think do you have to go back to that Green Bay Denver game back in like the late 90s?
I think Rams Patriots the first time
was it over a touchdown?
I think it was 11. I don't know that for a stone cold fact, so if I'm wrong on that one, I'm sorry, but I did not
research betting lines going into the show.
No, it really wasn't the point. The point just being that they are the heavy favorite, right? And you talk about the idea of there's been times where the heavily favored team doesn't come out on top, even though that you think that they should. Because they're clearly the better football team as a whole. And really, the one that sticks out to me is that Rams Patriots Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And I do think that there's some parallels here with, young Tom Brady, young Drake May, and being prohibitive underdogs and all of that stuff. But why I don't think that we're going to see a game play out in that same fashion is that when I go back and look at those St. Louis Rams teams, that one in that Super Bowl, they had a pretty good defense. I know they were ranked really high, but I think their numbers were higher because the offense was just cranking all year and they weren't on the field a ton.
Yeah, historically great offense.
Oh, historically great offense. And that's how they won football games. They blew people out. It was, greatest show on turf, all through the air. They basically won football games one way for the most part. They didn't have a plethora of ways to get into their bag and play different styles. And the Patriots were able to muddy the game, drag them into the deep water late in the game. And then Tom had his first of his big fourth quarter moments in a Super Bowl. And this is a team in the Seahawks that even if the Patriots do manage to muddy it up and slow the game down, which I really do think is kind of their only shot to get the victory here, I think this team, the Seattle team, is built for those types of games. We saw it against Indy as much as they are blowing people out like we saw against the 49ers. So I feel pretty confident that even if it goes a little sideways and maybe not according to script, the way that we would kind of visualize it, that this team has the experience, the ability, and all the tools to get it done no matter what.
It's interesting that you went back to that Patriots-Rams game because I was trying to think of the most annoying narratives that I've heard this past week. And,
Okay.
and one of them is that with the Patriots being the underdog to the Rams and that kind of comparison. And really the only place that comparison, okay, there's maybe two places that comparison works. It's that the Patriots were in that game. They were underdogs. It was an NFC West team in the St. Louis Rams at the time. But again, that the thing where it starts to break down for me is that it was a historically great offensive team in the Rams. The Seahawks offense is not historically great. When you look at the DVOA of the team, it would be considered one of the historically great teams, but that's because the offense is high, the defense is even higher. And that Rams defense, as you pointed out, it wasn't as good as the Patriots defense, and they had that ability to slow down, muddy up that St. Louis Rams offense. And gosh, I was looking at the defense of that Rams team. They had one all-pro player on defense, and that was Aeneas Williams. They had a couple good players up front. They had Leonard Little. They had Grant Lindstrom, good players. They had London Fletcher at linebacker, who was a tackling machine. They had Dre Bly on the back end along with Aeneas Williams. So it's like they had a good defense. But this is what I'm getting at going into this game, is that this is the type of defense that we've seen quarterback Drake May struggle with in 3 straight games leading up to the Super Bowl. And I feel like that conversation has kind of gone out the window.
It really has. I think it's because of the East Coast thing and all of that. But a lot of the excuses being made for Drake May and his performance down the stretch here in the playoffs. Oh, well, it was just bad weather every time, and so they couldn't get after it, or this, that, and the other thing. Okay, fine. That's fine. But the fact remains, he has not been good this postseason. And the defense, you talk about annoying narratives. The most annoying narrative for me coming into this game is the people that will go out there and claim that this Patriots defense, probably the best in the league, or at the very least on par with the defense here in Seattle. And it's absurd. It's patently absurd. Like, it's not even close. And I think that's going to be the thing that hits people the hardest when they strap them up and go out there on Sunday.
We've got the Snail, one of our YouTube members, coming in via chat saying Drake May has sucked against any halfway good defense. They aren't scoring, and the dark side has to be as tired as I am listening to national media coming up with all the reasons the Patriots can win. It is annoying, for one, knowing that maybe your team isn't getting the recognition that they deserve. But I do think that the media in general, this is their moment. They have to sell this game because this is the live event that everybody tunes into. And I feel like you don't want people to say this is necessarily a mismatch. And I don't even, you brought up the potential ways, and we'll probably get into it a little bit more, that it will remain competitive or has the potential to be competitive. I know I see some blowout predictions in chat, which I would like to see as well. One of those is, I think, coming here from Peter. Go Hawks with a $4.99 super chat. Don't forget post-Super Bowl Syndicate live celebration. Oh, all right. 3812, yes. Nick Ibanwari, safety baby for the 12. Go Hawks. Hurry the hell up Sunday. I'm with you, Peter. Sunday cannot get here fast enough.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. And the funny thing is that for me personally, and I'm not saying this is the right way at all, but just like for me personally, I've really enjoyed the last 2 weeks here in the time to go through and think about this game quite a bit, listen to a lot of other people talk about the game, listen to Pat Fan have their fantasies about them hoisting Lombardi after this. And so I've been enjoying this ride. And I think it was just today is the first time I felt like, hurry up Sunday. Let's go.
I've almost wanted it to slow down because with this Super Bowl, it's almost felt like It was different than even 10 years ago when we were doing this show. It feels like there's so much more out there to listen to and try and just interviews with all the players and stories. And I feel like it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks after this that I'm still going to be going through and watching features and listening to player interviews because there's so much leading up to this game.
There really is. The only thing that I am not going to watch one more second of is any of the Super Bowl press conferences. And I'll talk about that more at the end of the show because just wow with that. We've gotten to a point now to
Media Day specifically.
It's just effing worthless. Like it's such a joke show these days anymore. But kind of get back to the matchup here a little bit. And we were just talking about Pat's defense and, everybody kind of gassing them up. And yeah, they've had some nice performances in the playoffs here. I don't see one where they weren't helped by the weather. I don't see one where the offensive line they were playing against was a quality one. You may argue that with the Broncos, but in those conditions,
the weather, yeah. When I went back and watched, I barely even watched the Broncos game.
There's not a lot to take away from that game. Definitely not. Other than basically they've gone up against a broken Herbert. He was literally broken. Like he had a broken hand playing in that game behind an offensive line who they were finding people at Costco to try to play tackle. Cause I think they were on their 7th tackle at that point or whatever it was. Uh-huh. And then you watch the Texans game with easily maybe not the worst, but bottom 5 offensive line in the league for the Texans. And then you watch CJ Stroud just have a freak out behind that.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. It's like, well, okay. Well, that wasn't something to write home about as far as a defensive performance. And then did they go up against the Stids in the AFC Championship game? Yeah. In my humble opinion, the only reason the New England Patriots are in this game is because of Bo Nix's ankle. I genuinely believe that.
Interesting. Yeah. Between Bo Nix's ankle, if Josh Allen could have pulled it out and been healthy for that championship game, that would have been an interesting matchup. It was kind of the playoffs of division rivals matching up, and I feel like we are maybe robbed a little bit of a Bills-Patriots championship game.
I think that there's something to that, no doubt about it. And thinking more about this matchup between our offense and their defense, and I look across the board, I see one clear advantage for the Patriots, and that's it, whether they get Barmore or Milton Williams head up on Bradford and he doesn't receive help on any particular rep. There's an advantage there. The rest of their guys, like, honestly, when it comes to that defensive line, those 2 guys are studs, no doubt about it. Great players. But then the rest of it is, a bunch of guys who can play football, but none of them are guys that make you shake in your boots. And not only that, but they don't have even close to the type of depth defensively as the Seahawks did, or even the Rams, as they have their rotation of players up front. So when I think about the idea of our offense being stopped in its tracks in not being able to score as much as we have against the Rams in guys like that, where those are quality defenses.
Yeah.
I just don't see that to be the case. I don't think they're going to have a struggle to move the ball, score points, and get things going for them. It might be a struggle to run the ball right up the gut, but I do think that they can get the edge. And that's K9's strength. It's really the strength of Kubiak's system and his offense. And so when you think about all those things together, outside of Gonzalez in coverage, look, man, I think they can be got, especially if they play man at all in this game.
Gonzalez in coverage is going to be interesting. I do like those players in the middle. When you talked about advantages, I thought you were going to go straight to the coaching advantage, as we hear that Mike Vrabel got Coach of the Year. Mike McDonald finishes 3rd in the voting. So maybe a slight edge at coaching. But one area, looking back on those games against the Texans, against the Chargers, that stood out to me in particular, that I'm curious how Seattle's going to handle, because I think with those dudes up the middle, with Milton Williams there, I think the Chargers, especially with their offensive lines, with the Chargers and the Texans looking at that, said we're going to do a lot of boot outs with the quarterback, and they ran some naked boots, and the Patriots, like every time they did that, they were able to find ways to get pressure, and a lot of times those were the areas where both Herbert and Stroud ended up turning it over, and so. If there's one thing that concerns me is that Clint Kubiak is thinking, along those same lines. Okay, we have issues potentially in the middle with matchups. Got to get Sam on the move, and we've seen our team run those naked boots quite a bit as well.
Absolutely, but they also move the pocket at times without having it be a naked. Like you can actually, move the pocket left or right depending on the call, and not have it be in a naked boot. So he's got some protection out that way. And then also too, I think one of the big strengths of Sam's game is his ability to move right and left and still throw accurately, whether that's on platform or off platform. And so it makes you defend the whole field horizontally even if they have a great plan. And I'm sure the Patriots will have a great plan because Mike Vrabel is a great coach. And it's probably good that he won Coach of the Year because it's the only award they're getting this week. And at the end of the day, I do believe that Kubiak in this system, in Darnold playing at the level that he is, and JSN playing at the level that he is, and Kupp really showing out here in the playoffs, that we're going to put up at least 24 points against this defense. And I think specifically that's going to be picking on linebackers and coverage.
Ooh, yeah. And Spillane, their middle linebacker, Robert Spillane, he's been down with an ankle injury, so that could impact. He's kind of been one of their better blitzing linebackers, too, here in the postseason. They've really ramped up blitzing a lot. And going up against those offensive lines makes a lot of sense. Again, it's helped create some of the turnovers for that defense. And part of it is also feeling like it's freaking out a little bit by the quarterbacks when they do get pressure. Like that's the one thing for Sam I just want to see is not trying to make something happen when it's not there. And that was Stroud's big issue, is that he felt like he continuously had to make something happen when he didn't. If he just plays within himself against these Patriots, his defense kind of carries that team.
It's interesting listening to some of the Sam interviews over the last week or three here, and he really, you couldn't help it if you were Sam Darnold, honestly. Having that defense have your back the entire year and having the sample size of watching that defense just go out and kick ass again and again and again, it really does make it so as a quarterback, if it comes time that you just need to eat a sack, dirt a ball, something like that, punt the ball away, okay, hey, that's fine. Can't wait to get my dudes out there, and they've got your back. And so I think in comparison to seasons past for Sam, specifically when he was with Carolina and the Jets, he does not have to do everything. And I think one of the things that Pat fan keeps talking about is, well, we just need to see, Jet Sam Darnold again, like blah, 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 blah. Look, man, that's gone. There's enough evidence here to say that that's gone. And really, I understand why they say that, because honestly, their only hope between slowing the game down and the other thing to get them to a win here is they got to get at least 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Sam, because that's how everybody frames it. Well, if Sam just freaks out and has 2 turnovers, then, it could be a problem. No, I'm talking about the whole offense. Like no Barner fumbles, no rando, whatever it is.
Oh, it could be special teams like we saw against the Rams. Like that's how they lost the game, was the special teams turnover that went in our favor. So, I did see Marlon in chat saying Spillane did practice a little bit today. He was limited in practice, and while we're talking about injuries,
he's a big deal for their defense.
He is, yeah. And so his ankle injury is going to be as much of an injury watch component as Nick Emanwari's ankle is going to be an injury watch component for us. But before we get there, I do want to stay on this Patriots defense, because one of the things that I was seeing some stats around was that this Patriots defense has struggled with number 1 wide receivers. And whenever I see a stat like that, I'm a little bit, it makes me curious. Like, what are they looking at to see, like, where this team has struggled, who it's struggled against. And the interesting thing I've seen is that this Patriots team really hasn't played a whole lot of number one wide receivers this season, Adam. Okay. And maybe there's some in there that didn't break 1,000 yards, but my cutoff was to go and see which 1,000-yard wide receivers they played this season. And when you look at the bottom, it's not very interesting because it's Teteroa McMillan, which was in, I think, back in week 4. So you got Bryce Young throwing to him early on in the season. He did have 8 targets, 4 catches, 62 yards. So probably an average game if you consider a 1,000-yard receiver over the course of 17 games. It's about, you're going to average out between 60, 65 yards a game. Wan'Dale Robinson was the other one. Those 2 receivers had 1,014 yards each. And Wan'Dale Robinson had 7 catches on 8 targets, 34 yards. So not a great performance. Also had Jackson Dart thrown to him. Not a big game for him. Cortland Sutton was the other, and that was the playoff game, again, where there wasn't any movement of the football. But Cortland Sutton did have the Broncos' touchdown catch among his 3 catches for 17 yards. So now we get into who I would consider actual number one wide receivers in the NFL. And I'll start with Nico Collins. Oh, he didn't play. He had a concussion, so he didn't play in that Texans matchup with this Patriots defense. Okay, moving on. Chris Olave, New England Patriots, had Tyler Shuck thrown to him. He had 6 catches on 10 targets, 98 yards. Good day for Chris Olave. Zay Flowers, the other one, 7 catches, 7 targets, 84 yards in the Ravens game against the New England Patriots. And then the tippy top one, you got to wonder how Jamar Chase played against this Patriots defense, right? Because that might at least get us close to what we might be able to expect from Jackson Smith and Jigba against this Patriots defense. Oh, it was the one game that he got suspended.
So much like a lot of the season for the Patriots, dodging a lot of bullets there. In one of the things that they all seem to kind of get their feathers ruffled over is the idea that they played a terrible schedule in a bad conference, to be frank. Like, the conference wasn't good this year with the AFC, and you played the bottom end of that and are now pounding your chest because you made it to the Super Bowl against 3 teams that are, I think those are all first round losses except for the Broncos of, between Texans and Chargers if they had played in the NFC. And they just really gristle at that sort of thing. The thing is like, it's not even so much a shot. It's just a recognition of what is. Now, I understand you can only play the people on your schedule, and you did, and you won those games. Great. But at the end of the day, it's not impressive. Your postseason run has not been impressive. And now you're going up against a team who has looked to be the most impressive of any team in the entire league. And it's probably going to be a home field advantage for the Seahawks, as long as our fans are rich enough to fill out that stadium. So it's going to be an uphill battle for them. And I do think that they are overmatched in almost every area of this game. And I think maybe the only area that I give them a slight advantage is in coaching, and for only because Vrabel has been there as a player and McDaniel has been there multiple times as OC. And so you get a little bit of an experience bump there, but boy, it's not like you're having huge differences here. When I look at the rest of the matchups across the board, the differences seem large.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up that, and I think there might be a little bit of coaching advantage there just because of that fact. But, we do have Leslie Frazier on our team as well, who has won as a player, and then I think he even won as a coach with the Colts. So Leslie Frazier has some Super Bowl experience. I think I read that he's 2-0 in Super Bowls, in fact.
Yeah, well, I didn't even think about that. And, Leslie's been an integral part of this team, and he's been really a big reason for Mike's success and his growth, and somebody that he can bounce things off of. And it's awesome that he's there. And let us not forget that John Schneider has Super Bowl experience. If you have questions about how to navigate Super Bowl week and all of that, he's seen it done. He's been there, and he's going to take care of a lot of the logistics. And so it makes it even easier for Coach Mike to do the only thing that he ever is interested in doing, which is coach football for the upcoming game and focus solely on that.
Who got Ron Pepper Photo in chat saying, one of my favorite facts is that the Patriots won several games against coaches that got fired this year. And I actually do have the graphic for this because it is kind of fun. The Patriots, you look at the right-hand column that compares the regular season opponents. And the thing that I like about this one, I think some of the initial graphics were pointing out just the coaches that had been fired. This one points out the coaches that have been fired and also the offenses that each team has faced. And you run down this list, and yes, there's 10 fired head coaches that the Patriots have faced, but there's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bottom offenses. So, and they don't even match up to where it's head coach and bottom offense, but 10 bottom offenses for the Patriots, only 5 bottom offenses for our Seahawks, Adam.
Yeah, and we've also seen the Seahawks against a top-tier offense, probably the best offense in the league, and the Rams, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And they're the only ones that have been able to put up numbers against this defense. And when we get to that side of the ball, I think this is the most compelling reason as to why I truly believe that this is a double-digit win for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Double-digit win. It does that is what I happen to predict on our What If show, Adam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go and watch and see what you guys had to say there. But anything more that you wanted to talk about just in terms of Seahawks offense, Patriots D, anything that stands out to you? I mean, my big ones were just Splain's real good in the run game, liability in the pass game. 2 defensive tackles are studs. Not a lot of depth outside of that. The pass rush, I mean, Landry's their best pass rusher? Okay. That's fine. And Gonzalez is a heck of a cover corner, but I honestly disagree with EJ when we talked to him the other night. Yeah. I don't think he's a top 3 cover corner. I don't. I think he's top 10.
Yeah.
I think he's real good, but there's other dudes I'd rather have, no doubt.
I think that where he ends up being susceptible is against speed. And we have the potential to put speed and quickness, right? Because you have speed with Rashid Shaheed, you have quickness with JSN, and as long as he would be outstanding covering up Cooper Kupp all day, like if you just wanted to lock him onto Kupp, then you would take away that, I suppose. But
I mean, so would half the league. But yeah.
But that would open up plenty of other options then because I don't think that they have other dudes who, I mean, you can't double both Shaheed and JSN. So as much as they might want to, it's going to be real difficult there. I do. One place I'm interested in is how K9 is going to fare against this defense.
Okay. I don't know that it matters. I'm trying to figure out exactly
you
how
could
I
end it right
this.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matters.
I don't know that it matters because, again, this is going back to the point of I've watched this team play any which way that you want to play. And we watched this offense evolve to combat what defenses have tried to do to slow this thing down. Early on in the year, they're like, we'll stop the run no matter what. And you're going to have to beat us with Sam Darnold. And Sam said, well, okay, that sounds great. Let me get off to a hot start and destroy the league for about 8-9 games. And then the league was like, whoa, wait a second. Okay, we can't be having that. So let's play a little more coverage and play more 2 high shells and really make them work for it in the pass game. And then, we'll try to stop the run otherwise. And then it was at that point that you saw the run game really start to click as the offensive line gelled. And then by the end of this year, we've been gelling it right down people's throats at will, and it's a joy to watch. So if they want to go ahead and load up and try to stop K9, okay, like have at it, Huss. The ball's going right over your head then. And
yeah,
it just all plays right into the way this Kubiak offense functions in terms of its philosophy. And so there is no right answer for the Patriots here. You want to blitz? Go ahead, because we have seen Sam Darnold all year handle the blitz really well as a whole. And I just think it's going to be tough sledding for them no matter what they do. No right answer to the test.
Abdi Farah with a fun fact here in chat saying Hawks win, or another fun fact that leads toward Hawks win is that the Patriots lost every Super Bowl in an even calendar year. 1986, 2008, 2012, and 2018. And here it is, 2026.
Eli Manning accounting for 2 of those, which is still hilarious to this day. But yeah, man, I look at that side of the ball, and that's supposedly going to be the more competitive side of the ball. And boy, I have like 20% worry, which is extraordinarily low going into a Super Bowl.
That's where I'm at too. The confidence level, it should not be this high going into a Super Bowl, right? When it's the 2 best teams, which is why we said it going into the game against the Rams. That felt like the Super Bowl. That felt like coin flip-ish worry level-o-meter. And I'm not at coin flip level worry when it comes to this. And Toxil Monster coming in with a 1212 super chat saying, why is international media referring to New England as the Growlers? Go Hawks. I think that I've seen the word thrown around in chat a little bit. I think it is a term of inferiority.
Worse.
They're worse.
Underdogs. I guess. I don't know. I have no clue what that is. It makes about as much sense as them adopting the Warriors come out and play thing. It's like, you're not the Warriors. Like, you're not in New York. Isn't that from like West Side Story or some crap? Like, yes. Warriors come out and play. Like, what are we doing? Like, how does that fit anything that you do? I don't get it. Like, you had to go and steal that from Golden State or something. Like, it's just dumb. It's just dumb.
I learned tonight that I have trouble saying inferiority. So
yeah,
it's been a night of learning for all of us.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so let's get over to the reason why exactly we are so confident in this matchup. It is because the Seahawks defense. I don't think that. Okay, we've had a little bit of coverage this week because they have a name. And they felt like they needed a name to go along with the Legion of Boom team that had a name, and they had to distinguish themselves. Like, nobody wants to be Legion of Boom 2.0, so you got to come up with something to differentiate yourself. They came up with Dark Side. We had the MOB, which was kind of more of a team motto than like a name for a defense. They come up with the Dark Side. Here it is. This is the time now that if you're not able to cement it in the Super Bowl when it matters the most, that name's not going to stick.
Oh, it's going to stick after they shut out the lights on this Patriot offense. And look, and I'll tell you why. And I'll just read off a list of names. And this is the reason. Like, this is it. And it basically goes Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Garrett Bradbury, however you say his name, Mike, the right guard, and journeyman Morgan Moses. That's why they lose this football game. Period. End of story. Like, you look at that cast of characters, like Bradbury is a guy that the Vikings could not wait to get rid of. Like, I think he was with the Broncos before that. They couldn't wait to get rid of him because of his subpar play in the run game. Like, just a disaster there. Jared Wilson is okay. Like, that's fine. Will Campbell, man, he hit the Ricky Wall plus some injuries. Hasn't looked good going down the stretch. And then the right guard, however you say his name, I'm not even going to try it again.
The right guard.
Just a guy in Morgan Moses. They brought him in, and this is one of the things they hit on. They've got serviceable play out of that. Look, I understand that they went up against the Texans and won that football game, and they've got a nice front. But it's not as deep as the Seahawks front. And it doesn't come at you from all angles. When almost every dude on here could be considered a weak link at times, good luck. It's good night, Irene. Like, this is the biggest mismatch in this game by far, and it's not even close.
And the one part that concerns me then, if you're looking at historical Super Bowls, is what are the Niners going to do to this stupid field to potentially neutralize us? Because you remember back to the Eagles and the Chiefs a few years ago, and you had that defensive line for the Eagles that you looked at that and you said, they're going to dominate. It's the Chiefs. They had they were plugging in dudes, like moving Thuney out to tackle and plugging in guys on the line, and it ended up being because of the field maintenance then that ended up really neutralizing that Eagles front and allowed the Chiefs to squeak one out against that Eagles team.
Right. And then they saw him a second time with a depleted offensive line. And what happened?
Yeah, they destroyed them.
They destroyed them. And that's why I look at that as kind of the blueprint for where the Seahawks can go in this game. And it gives me even more confidence because as much as I like Drake May, and he's a talented guy in his second year and coming along, I liked him in the draft. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Not yet. Not even close. And that's the case, then boy, good luck. Are you going to lean on your running game? Well, go ahead. I dare you to, because there hasn't been a team all year, period, full stop, that has been able to get the running game going with consistency against the Seahawks defense. And if you're going to muddy up a game and shorten it and do all the things we talked about earlier, that's what you got to do. And it'll be this defensive line along with Spoon, hopefully Eamon and the linebackers that really do just shut this down again.
Yeah, they have a capable backfield, but it's not the type. Gosh, Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, I don't even think it's as good as the Kyron Williams, Blake Corum backfield. If you're to take two guys, it's similar-ish, but I think that with the Rams offensive line, all of it together ends up being better than what we see from this Patriots team.
That's a good point, because I do think that the Rams offensive line is levels above where the Patriots offensive line is right now. I do like Stevenson. He's that kind of bruising north-south runner that always gets my blood flowing, right? Like I love that.
Good balance too. A guy that like you have to gang tackle to try and get to the ground because he'll spin out of stupid tackles if you're not disciplined and end up getting 5-6 more yards upfield.
And that's the other thing, is that this team is remarkably disciplined and really good in tackling in space. It's one of the things that they hang their hat on. It's definitely one of their calling cards. And Stevenson isn't one of those guys on top of that you worry about getting a bunch of explosives throughout a game. He's a little bit more of a plotter. Now, can he kind of control tempo and move the sticks and all that? Absolutely, for sure. It's going to be tough sledding against this particular defense. And then I found the conversation with EJ that we had the other night really interesting in terms of when they put in Henderson and just what a complete and total liability he's been as a pass blocker, in basically pointing out that if that man's in the game, it's a run. And when half of your backfield is a giant tell, that's a massive problem.
It's a big problem. The actual problem that I do worry about is what Marlon brings up in chat, saying my only worry is May's legs. And you look back. I was
saving it to last. Yeah.
you look back to those games against the Texans and Chargers, and he's able to escape and pick up first downs. And when the play breaks down, that's an area where they can have issue with. And I think it was Mookie out on field goals who was pointing out too that I think it was Mina Kimes who was pointing out how they really didn't spy, going back to the Commanders game, a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, who you would expect a defense to try and spy the quarterback a little bit. They didn't do it. They didn't necessarily get beat terribly by Jaden either in terms of running plays.
Oh, no. And they haven't been like completely torn up on the ground by a mobile quarterback all year. I mean, Purdy was able to scramble around a lot behind the line of scrimmage and then do jack with it. But there hasn't been a guy to just really light you up with his legs. And I'll be curious to see what you think on this, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of spies out of this defense here, and for a couple of reasons. Their names are Spoon and Eamon, and then you play a lot of zone, as Mike usually does, and they're actually able to keep their eyes in the backfield. The second May takes off, he doesn't have that tremendous speed advantage that he does over a lot of the other guys in the league. And you're not going up against outside linebackers to try to catch the edge on a scramble. You're going up against guys that can really fly. And I think that could be the thing that neutralizes it, because in all honesty, the only thing that scares me about this Patriots offense by far is Drake May's legs. And that is something that you can do something about.
Drake May's legs, and he does have some annoyingly good accuracy and touch on some of his deep balls, which, but that's not something that I think, especially against this defense, that you're going to be able to hang your hat on all day. Like, do you get 2 or 3 explosives that get you across midfield and help you manufacture a scoring drive? That's probably, I could see that, absolutely. So, but to count on it to win, consistently is going to be tough. And because I haven't seen it yet, I didn't see it against the Chargers. I saw them set up some scoring drives, like enough to win. And that's why it's this idea of, okay, well, Drake May, leading up to these last couple of weeks, it hasn't been pointed out that he's struggled against really good defenses. It's been pointed out that Drake May has beaten 3 of the top 5 defenses down the stretch, and including the Broncos, which again, you have to kind of throw that game out a little bit. But this might be a good time to talk about what Nate Schutz is bringing up in chat, saying, talking about Nick Emanwari. Meet your new friend, Toradol, some vitamin T for Nick Emanwari, who had a twisted ankle this week, an ankle sprain, not the high ankle sprain that kept him out after week 1, but one of those turn your ankle type ankle sprains that are annoying and painful at first. And he was walking around with a taped up ankle today and limited in practice. Or did he not practice today? I think Mike said he was going to go through walkthroughs, but it's going to be a question. Well, not whether a question of if he's going to play, but how effective that he'll still be able to be with the ankle injury, and really how much that ends up mattering in the big scheme of things. Yes, Laura saying did not practice today, but how it ends up in the grand scheme mattering.
Yeah. Look, let's talk more about Emanwari, obviously, here. And the thing is that if it's not structurally screwed up, which it doesn't sound like it is, but also, too, we're not going to know. None of us are going to know.
Oh, no.
We're not going to know anything about this. But if he's out walking around and all that stuff, that's what you do. Take a little vitamin T. It's the Super Bowl, and you get after it. I have every confidence that we are going to see Emanwari in this game. And it's a huge deal, too, because I do think it does help neutralize some of the stuff that you get out of May. And then May playing poorly against, the big defenses that you talked about there. Yeah, it wasn't amazing.
Turnovers.
Turnovers.
At least 2 a game, right?
Yeah. It's been rather ugly. And I feel like if the Patriots turn the ball over once, even let's say we turn the ball over twice and the Patriots turn it over once, that's a loss. That's a loss for the Patriots.
Yeah.
They turn the ball over one time and it is over. Like the margin of that they have to play with here to find victory is so razor thin that it's just tough. It's just tough to see how you can beat the best defense in football by relying on May scrambling and then a couple good deep shots. That's not an offense. That's not sustainable. You will not score multiple points against this team. I don't think the Patriots score more than 14.
That was I actually, my prediction in What If was 15, because I thought maybe they end up going for a 2-point conversion and getting it, and that's how they get to 15. So I do think it's possible for them to get to 15.
Okay. I'd count that right in that same vein, right? But I'm right with you. Yeah.
Taking a quick break to recognize the NFL Honors Awards are going on. Nate Schutz saying, boo, Schlesinger won Defensive Player of the Year. CL continually gets catfished. And I think the betting odds going into this were that Schlesinger, linebacker for the Browns, would end up getting Defensive Player of the Year. He does
Defensive Rookie of the Year, right?
Defensive Rookie. Yeah, Defensive Player of the Year was Myles Garrett, his teammate.
Yeah, I was going to say,
which was no surprise at all.
No, well earned, right? Like, congrats to him. He took the bag and got a bunch of stats and is still a loser sitting at home. Like, it must be tough. But yeah, Emanwari not being named Defensive Rookie of the Year is a slap in the face. It's one of the worst votes that I can think of in recent memory. Maybe I think I still would put Belichick missing first ballot ahead of that. But
sure, we get second again. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bunch of crap, man.
East Coast bias. Even you're impacted by it.
Well, I mean, that was one of the most absurd things in the world. And maybe the Hall of Fame doesn't matter anymore, much like the Pro Bowl. But in regards to Nick, he earned that award. It should be his. And if you're a voter and you didn't see him as levels above Schlesinger, however you say his name.
Schlesinger,
yeah.
A rookie linebacker who got a lot of tackles.
Neat. On a terrible team. He had to make a lot of tackles because his defensive line outside of Garrett wasn't great. I guess the kid from Michigan was okay, but yeah, it doesn't feel good. But guess what? That gives Nick a little something to cook with going into the Super Bowl.
Ooh, I do like a little chip on his shoulder
Salty
type
Nick.
action going into the Super Bowl for our guy Nicky Manwari. So yeah, that it's a bummer, but it's going to feel less of a bummer when you're holding up that Lombardi.
Yeah, and I think this is the side of the ball that gets it done, as it has all year. And as you pointed out, most of these teams that have lost in Super Bowls, who are bigger favorites, they were more offensively weighted teams, whereas the Seahawks, clearly driven by their defense, it's something that Mike will have ready to go. And then let us not forget how good this team has looked after the extra time with bye weeks each and every time. It's been impressive, to say the least.
Coach Mike does seem to know how to scheme things up over a bye week. And okay, you do have Josh McDaniels on the other side offensively. They're going to have some things for this defense. Again, I just don't think it's going to be enough to find a way to continually cook the defense the way they would need to. Because I feel like that if the Patriots are going to win, they probably need to put up 27 points on the board against this defense to make it close enough. Because I think that our offense has the ability to put up that much or more. But I think that's what you're hoping for. You're either hoping for one of those muddy games where it's 14-14 going into the fourth quarter, or you're hoping that it's 27-27 and it ends up being that kind of shootout that, where Drake May's slinging it, getting it over the top of this defense somehow and scoring a lot of points that way.
And the reason why they're not going to be able to do that is they don't have Puka and Devontae, right? Like Diggs, I know Clinton desperately wants to say that Devontae and Diggs are like similar receivers. No, just flat out no.
What about Matt Collins though? Come on,
who? I don't know.
Or Pop Douglas.
My big concern for Matt Collins is that he sees a specialist to find out what causes his allergy to shirts, just so he can get that handled for himself. I just worry about the guy, especially in cold weather. And then Pop Douglas, yeah. I mean, look, they're NFL players, and that's great. But we're talking about you need upper echelon guys to be able to beat the defense in the intermediate area in the second level behind the linebackers and in front of the safeties. And they flat out don't have those dudes that can do that with any sort of consistency. Plus, you factor in the idea that Drake May is not Matt Stafford yet. He's not. He plays a lot more like young Matt Stafford.
Sure.
Who was still talented, still good, but he wasn't able to feather those balls in with consistency and with those layered throws as he does now as old man Stafford. So I just don't see that as big, because that's the one area that's been exploited by any team in the NFL. It's only been by one. And I don't think that this Patriots team has the personnel to do that in any way, shape, or form.
No, they're starting three receivers, which Diggs, Booty, Hollins, throwing pass catcher Hunter Henry into the mix too. Which
I like Henry.
I do like Henry, and he could be. I think at the end of the day, we probably see Henry leading this group. If it's not, if it's not Stevenson out of the backfield catching passes and being their lead pass catcher, because that's another component of the McDaniels offense, right? You run everybody down the field, and then you check it down to the back who is just hanging out at the middle. And we're going to be counting on Ernest Jones to be making a lot of quick tackles on Ramondre Stevenson, I think.
Well, we've seen that this team has been excellent at rallying up and stop those dump off throws, even when they do the run everybody off, throw it underneath stuff. And the thing is that because they don't really have the type of receivers, the burners to get deep on the Seahawks team, it reeks of a game plan that is going to be so similar to what we saw out of Crybaby Kyle in the Niners. Like guys that can't get separation against upper tier defense. And then you start having to play more on the quick game. And then the game becomes really condensed and all played within about, 15 yards and in. And then you do that with all the speed that's on the Seahawks defense, and you can dink and dunk all day long, but you're going fucking nowhere. And that's the part that I'm looking forward to, because I think there's multiple ways that the Seahawks can get after this Patriot offense, and they just don't have the answers for it.
Yeah, it's been dink and dunk, but also that one big explosive that then puts them down into scoring range that has given them the points that they've needed to get by these really good defenses leading up to this game. The Snail saying May has taken double-digit sacks and has a bum shoulder on top of not being Matt Stafford. The shoulder was a bit of a conversation, I think, last week. Now that it's gone into this week and he's been a participant in practice, he was a full participant, I believe, today on Thursday. So I think that May's shoulder injury is probably up there with the level of concern as Sam Darnold's oblique injury at this point.
Great way to put it. In when I heard the report on the shoulder at first, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I mean, again, we're a couple of weeks out. We really aren't going to know about these injuries and the extent of what guys are going through. I guarantee you there's at least 15 players combined from both teams in this game that are suffering from some sort of injury that we have no idea about. That's fairly significant. Like
that after the game is over, that they're going to get surgery on because they've just been playing through it because that's what a lot of these athletes do.
Yep. So you haven't heard us talk a lot about the injuries throughout this show, and there's a reason for it. A, we don't know anything. We don't. And secondly, it don't make no never mind at this point. Like there's a difference between being hurt and injured, right? If you're hurt,
right,
meaning there's no structural damage, then you're going to take all of the feel good meds that you need to take to get out there and get it done for a day in the biggest game of your life. And there's very few guys in this game coming in that are legitimate injured where, arm don't move. Like it's literally broken.
Yeah, it's this defensive line that I can't wait to see how they perform against this offensive line. The Snail saying in the chat, we'll see how it feels talking about May's shoulder after the first Leo Williams sacks him. Yeah, the better Williams. I'm looking forward to that. I do want to go back to just hang on the injury bit for one thing, because the one thing about Emanwari, again, where I wonder if it really matters in this game, is because let's say he goes out there, he tests it, and it ends up limiting him to a way that maybe he needs to come out of the game. Mm-hmm. You're going to see the thing you're going to see Devin Witherspoon more toward the slot. You're going to see more Job and Woolen on the outside, and you're going to see more Drake Thomas on the field. And that to me does not seem like a losing combination either. Like, I like all of those dudes. It speaks to the depth of this defense.
And you could take the word seam out of that. It's not a downgrade for this defense in many ways. And we know that because we watched this defense perform without Nick Emanwari for a number of games this year, earlier in the season. And let me go back and look here. Oh yeah, they fucking kicked ass. So like, I think I feel okay, even if E-Man doesn't go. Not saying he's not important, not saying he doesn't take this thing to another level, but they can survive that with the type of talent and depth that they have on this team.
All right. So my score prediction, Adam, as we move on into the break coming up here, we do have an interview with Sam Marcoux, stand-up comic and Dolphins fan. He hosts the Welcome to Perfectville podcast. We thought that going up against the Patriots this week, do we bring on a Patriots fan? No. We bring on somebody, though, who knows the Patriots. And as we get into our know your rival type offseason, We thought that Sam Marcoux, Dolphins fan, could really he could bring us more to that level of the know your rival look at your upcoming rival.
1,000%. It was a great call by you. We love Sam. We've talked to him many times throughout the years. And if you love funny shit talk, this interview is for you. We recorded it last night. We're going to play it here during the break for you guys. And it's worth listening to, man. Love it. And then after the interview, we'll come back from break here and go through a few more things. Maybe we'll talk a little bit of awards. Maybe, I don't know. We had a few different things. Maybe we'll talk about Kubiak and his future a little bit and kind of go from there.
All right, so the snail in chat saying 27-0. Man, oh man, if we got a Super Bowl shutout, Adam, that would be lovely. I'll go back to my prediction. Mine was 27 or 28-15.
Okay, a little more bullish to me. I had 24-14. I think that it's going to be within a touchdown going into the fourth quarter. And then can you win it in the fourth quarter? And the answer is yes. And that's exactly what the Seahawks are going to do.
I don't want it to be that close going into the fourth quarter, but hey, I will take a win. It's the Super Bowl. I can't wait. And you mentioned we could talk about awards coming back after the break. How about our guy, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Offensive Player of the Year? So we got one of them. We got one.
There you go. All right. In not Offensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh, did I say Offensive Rookie of the Year?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying it because you did the opposite last time, right? So, right. No, for real, Offensive Player of the Year. And that's awesome, man. Well deserved by JSN. Well, we could talk about it more after the break, but proudest punch for that guy.
All right. Well, let us get to our interview with Sam Marcoux, and we'll be back to talk more Seahawks after our interview with Sam. Getting into the interview portion of this week's show, Adam, and man, oh man, we've got, I didn't want to bring on like a Patriots fan guest because I don't know, what are we going to get out of that?
Some cockiness that's actually based on nothing.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
It would be annoying. So
yeah.
I thought maybe the best thing that we could possibly do is bring on somebody who knows the Patriots well, but absolutely hates the Patriots guts. And I know the perfect person for that. It is Sam Marcoux of the Welcome to Perfect Bill podcast. He is a Doll fan, and we all know that Dolphins fans, they hate the Patriots, Sam.
We do. The only team we hate more than the Patriots are the Miami Dolphins, quite frankly. So, this is scraping bottom of the barrel. I appreciate the fact that, look, you don't want to bring a Patriots fan into anything. I mean, if you brought a Patriots fan onto this highly intelligent, highly classy podcast, you're just going to get brain damage. And like you said, Adam said, you're going to get cockiness based on nothing. And with me, you're going to get nothingness based on cocky. So it's a little bit different and maybe a little bit better for all the hawkers out there. So thank you for having me yet again. I appreciate both of you. And let's talk some catfish about the New England Patriots. Can you please do that?
I think we should, because the enemy of our enemy is our friend, right? And look, I think there's a few different storylines in this Super Bowl, Sam, that just annoy the piss out of me. And I'm curious if this one maybe annoys you as much as it does me, because this is number one on my list, is Patriot fan walks around and acts like they're the feel-good story, the underdog and everything, after they spent a whole, 40 minutes wandering the desert of NFL suckdom, and now we're back in the Super Bowl, and they all act like, aren't you all happy for us? Can't you believe that we finally made it back to the Super Bowl? And the thing is that I'd kind of forgot about Patriot fan a little bit in those couple of minutes, but that was only because of the Chiefs. And now that the Chiefs are gone and the Patriots back, still catfish you guys.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't catfish ourselves away from the Patriots at this point. I mean, they're absolutely squarely in the column of catfish you guys. And look, here's the thing about the Patriots. You ever have that friend, you ever go to a bar, a local bar, or even a restaurant? Let's go with a restaurant bar, a good old fashioned TGI Fridays bartender, and you meet this person and they're nice, but let's be honest, they're working at a bar inside of a TGI Fridays. Yet somehow you develop a friendship and you go hang out with that person and you go back to that person's abode and you think, okay, they're going to have a small 1-bedroom apartment, and they just roll into this like McMansion of a house, and you're like, wait, this is your house? Like, yeah, I bought it. Like, how did you buy it? Like, what else do you do other than work at the bar inside the restaurant? Like, no, that's my job. And you're like, you're doing something illegal. I don't know what you're doing, but you should not have this much success based on the information that I have. That is the New England Patriots. They are a bartender at a TGI Fridays that somehow have a goddamn mansion that they go home to every single night, and it makes zero sense to me, Adam.
I actually had an interaction with a Patriots fan here in my hometown in Montana, and going through the Costco checkout line, she was running the register, and she's like, "Oh, Seahawks. I suppose you're rooting for the Seahawks." And I'm like, "Who else would I be rooting for?" Like, I'm decked out in my Seahawks hoodie, Seahawks hat. And I'm like, "Who are you rooting for?" And she says, "The Patriots." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, I've been a fan of them my whole life." And I swear she was maybe 22 years old.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm just so happy that we're finally back." And I'm like, "Finally back? Like, you have lived an entire life where all you have known is success of your team. Like,
right.
This should not be. This isn't okay."
There's episodes of Stranger Things that last longer than the time between they've been to Super Bowls, right? Like, it's ridiculous.
Take it from somebody who's a fan of a team that's been in the upside down since 1985. You're absolutely right. It makes absolutely zero sense. They're the kids who grow up in California, and I know these kids because I am that kid who, like, right now, ever talks to anybody else in the country, goes, "Yeah, I know what you mean about it being cold. It's 65 here right now." Like, you don't understand pain. 22-year-old Patriots fan in Montana, who, by the way, Brand, just brought that up simply to mention the fact that she was a Patriots fan. She's an asshole, and like I told you via text, you should have taken that jumbo size of mustard and just thrown it on the floor and walked out of there, and then honestly peed on her. You should have peed on her. You should have just had a Brian Blades or Benny Blades, one of the Blades brothers that worked for the Seahawks. You should have just ripped that name tag off, slapped it on her stupid fat back, peed on her leg, slipped on the mustard on the way out, and then just left. That's how that story should have ended. I don't like her.
I don't know then where I would be doing my future grocery shopping, but I will consider
There's other checkers at Costco. You'd be fine.
I mean, can't you go across the border there? There's like that coffee shop in Canada, and they sell poutine and all that stuff. I mean, Johnny's Donut, whatever it's called up there. I don't remember the name of it, but there's options. It's Montana. Punch a moose and drag it home.
There you go. And look, Brandon, if you did do everything Sam suggested there, which I think is a great course of action, by the way, completely agree. If the manager came up to you and was like, "What the hell is this?" And you're like, "She's a Patriots fan," he probably would upgrade your membership and like really just make it so that you have a VIP experience next time you're there.
I would agree. And by the way, she is a Patriots fan. She probably cheated you out of a couple of dollars. Or you're not going to check that receipt. Just saying.
Oh, man. Sam, if I have to hear Marshawn needed to run it on the goal line one more time, I think the one thing that I feel like, Patriots fans, anything that I'm sure that has happened between them and the Dolphins, they will remind you of. Does it ever stop? Or is this going to finally end that?
No, it doesn't stop. And here's how I cope. I'm a Los Angeles Dodgers fan. So I just send people pictures of Mookie Betts and go, "Thank you. I appreciate it." I just got to go to a different sport. Like I got to send them pictures of Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You got to go to a different sport. It's just, they're never going to stop until this Sunday. And there's one way to make them stop. And I need your team to do better than what my team does. And that's go in there and beat the living snot out of Drake May, Mike Vrabel, and the rest of those catfish from New England.
Well, that is certainly the plan. And I think most of us here in the Seattle area and fans of the Seahawks are feeling fairly confident going into this game. And we've all watched the Patriots in the playoffs, and it hasn't been necessarily impressive. They've made it to the Super Bowl, and congratulations on that. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. That's great. Like, it's super cute. But with that said, I hear things from these Patriots about, oh, their defense is so good. Like, you guys just don't understand. They might even be the best in the league. And, Drake May's MVP and, Diggs and Booty are the real thing. And you can't stop these running backs, and on and on and on and on. So of all the things I hear from Patriot fan this week, Sam, are there any of them that you think, having watched them more than we do, that's actually legitimate? Is there anything that you look at on their team where you go, you know what, that's for real?
Yeah, they they have a good defensive line. I'll give them credit for that. That defensive line is legit. Is it the best in football? No. I mean, again, you have to grade on a curve here. The AFC is not a good conference right now. This is like early 90s, late 80s AFC right now, where you're like, oh yeah, Boomer Esiason and the Bengals look really good. Who's that? Joe Montana and Jerry what? Oh, never mind. Like, there's levels to this stuff. Listen to me. They beat the Jets twice and the Dolphins twice. That should count as one win total. You should get a quarter of a win beating those teams. And oh, by the way, when they beat the Dolphins in week 2, it's because of a kick return. The Dolphins just forgot they were playing football. And it was because Devon Achane had a big toe that went out of bounds. Otherwise, they would have lost to the Dolphins. That's telling you something. I think 10 of the coaches that they played against this season are out of a job. Like, they didn't have a good season. They had a cakewalk. I mean, you're talking about a 7th grader playing against 5th graders that's now going to go try to play varsity basketball. It's not going to work. I feel like they're going to get stomped, and I'm just going to say, ha-ha, like Nelson Muntz to everybody that I know that's ever donned those colors in that formation of Flying Elvis, because it better be an absolute dog walk. And the only thing that they have going for them is that defensive line. And this is what I want to bring up, because I texted Brandon this. I have it on good authority that the Seattle Seahawks flew in to San Jose on Sunday night and were immediately, at least the offensive line, gambling, drinking, staying out past curfew. Now, listen to me. I'm all for it. They were great guys to hang out with. However, you cannot do that with that defensive line. That defensive line will eat their lunch if they're not coming correct. So I need them to sweat it out. I need them to get into the sauna, snap some towels on some booties, whatever you got to do to get all that alcohol out of their system and start focusing. Because that's the only thing that could ruin this, is if they show up and act like they haven't been there before, because I don't hear those Patriots going out and doing that type of stuff. So it's going to come down to preparation. That's really the only separator there that I think might cut the mustard to go back to Costco. But other than that, I mean, Drake May's a good quarterback. I don't trust those running backs. I don't trust those wide receivers. Stephon Diggs might be in jail by football Sunday. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. So I think the Seahawks are going to win. I mean, I really do. I think they're a better team all the way around. And again, you guys are like Alabama during the SEC prime. You guys had probably the strongest division that I have ever seen. You had 3 playoff teams. You outlasted all of them. Really, really good teams. The NFC is just a better conference right now than the AFC. And I hope you guys prove that in just a few days.
But I've been told by Patriots fans, like, they're just counting on Sam Darnold turning back into Jets Sam Darnold, which, as a member of that division, you are also familiar with. So how is your evolution of the Sam Darnold experience gone as an outside fan?
I hated him. I hated when the Jets drafted him, quite frankly. I thought he was really good in college. And then I remembered he's the Jets, so there's a factor there that's just, it's like an anchor on your foot that just pulls you to the bottom. I mean, you could be Superman and you're still drowning. When you go to that stadium, you're going to be underwater. He took a little bit of time to develop, but look, we all know this. Redheads take a little bit more time to fully blossom, and now he's fully blossomed. He's like a spring flower in the middle of spring. He's going to just pollinate all over the Patriots come Sunday. I think, look, Sam Darnold is limited. I don't think I'm saying anything that you guys probably wouldn't admit to yourselves off air or otherwise, but he's in a very good system. He's got a very good team around him. He's got excellent coaching, and he knows his limitations. And when you know what you can and cannot do, I can't say that the sky is, limitless, because there's limitations, but you know how far the sky goes. You know where the glass ceiling is, and you can play all the way up to it till your face is smushed up onto the glass, and that's what he's doing right now, and it's a beautiful thing.
He really is. He's maximizing the opportunity, the potential, all that. He's shoving it right down my throat because I hated it. But now he's awesome, and we're in the Super Bowl. So hooray for Sam's. I love Sam's, all the Sam's, including you, despite your fandom. But and despite your rooting interest from last week, by the way, that might disqualify a lot of what you have to say on the show today. I mean, you told us before we came on here, Sam, that you were rooting for the dirty Rams last week. Like, is it just the Dolphins that are a problem for you, like in terms of taste, or like does this go league wide?
I don't know what you're talking about, Adam. I have no recollection.
All right.
Of what you're saying. You guys can follow me at Perfect Bell Pod, where you'll see all the latest Seahawks content. No, I'm an LA guy. Like, I live up here in the San Francisco, which is why I'm injured right now. By the way, I'm too close to that substation by the San Francisco's.
I can't even believe you're alive.
I know. It's like this is actually my second head. The first head is just right under here, under my shoulder. Everything is LA for me. LA Dodgers, LA Kings, LA Lakers. I'm not an LA Rams fan. I like the way they play. Objectively, they're a fun team to watch. So by November, my team, the Miami Dolphins, they're not even playing. We're looking at draft position. So I got to find another team to watch that's entertaining. And if nothing else, Puka Nacua is going to say something stupid that I can laugh at. So, from that point of view, the Rams are gold. But it was a 50-50 coin flip. I was rooting for a good game, and I got a good game. I'll call it that way. I guess maybe I was leaning Rams, but that's just an LA thing.
Oh, we understand. You were leaning Rams, and but it's kind of how I feel like we've made this transition from a couple weeks ago. Everybody was going into the Rams Seahawks game saying these are the two best teams. This is the true Super Bowl.
Right.
And then now over the last 2 weeks, I understand the media has a job to do. But I feel like we're getting away from this idea that, hey, we saw the two best teams play already.
Catfish! Yeah, you hit it on the head. They have a job to do, and they have to drum up interest. They got to get as many eyeballs there, reading stories, clicking tweets, liking tweets, retweeting them, all that stuff. And they're going to have to create. 2 weeks, it's an enormous amount of time from the last time they played football till today. So you have to just make catfish up. You ever put a kid in a room with just nothing? After about 5 minutes, they're just making up stories about how dragons are living under a bed and all this. It's just the media is just nothing but a bunch of little kids bored in a room with nothing else to do. So they're going to create all of these storylines to try to create some sort of interest in what would otherwise be a preseason battle that you would turn off at halftime. So that's what it is. Who's the backup quarterback for the Seahawks? I don't even know. Forgive me.
Oh, it's Westcott Locke. Let's go.
Oh yeah, it's Locke. So Drew Locke's going to play in this game. Like, he's going to be handing the ball off to who's the third string running back for the Seahawks?
Well, it would be probably Velus Jones, who is the third string running back right now.
Yeah, it's going to be Velus Jones getting the ball from Drew Lock in the midway through the third quarter, because the Patriots are going to be out of this thing. And there's really no reason for Sam Bradford to do anything other than comb his glorious red mane. So, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a preseason blowout type game. Seahawks are going to just absolutely pound the living catfish out of the Patriots. And then we can all just be happy until March when the league starts over. And then I got to be a miserable Dolphins fan again.
Yeah, speaking of being a bored kid in a room, so what was your GM doing with this head coaching hire for the Dolphins?
What was my GM doing?
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm pretty sure Jeff Hafley flew over with our new GM on the same flight to introduce the GM. And they're like, oh, we got to go through this exhaustive coaching search. But I'm like, well, he's right there. We can see him. He's right behind you. They have the same barber. They go to the same tailor. Look, we're Green Bay Packers South, I suppose. No different. Here's best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins. You guys rated the Packers, and you guys are in the playoffs in terms of your front office staff. If we do the same thing and we have the same type of success, then I already said, if we get a winning record next year, 2026, I guess this year, I've already said on my show, the Perfectville podcast, that I will get a buzz cut flat top just like Jeff Hafley, and I will walk around for a calendar year with that. Look, I've got decent hair. My hair isn't going away. I can grow it out. I could do all kinds of things with it. I will flat top airplane runway this thing for an entire year if Jeff Hafley can get us a winning record in 2026.
Well, if he does, we all know who you have to give all of the credit to, because I heard Troy Aikman on Rich Eisen's show yesterday and talking about his involvement in the process. And Sam, I'm not going to lie. You said you guys are Green Bay South, but now you've got a sprinkling of Cowboys in there that is kind of infiltrating the thing, and that's never a good look. But I mean, Troy, I don't know how his back has survived carrying the Miami Dolphins organization through this process, because according to him, like, he couldn't just help you guys, he could help you a lot, and like, he basically saved you from yourselves. How does it feel to have your Lord and Savior Troy Aikman come in from Mount High and save the entire franchise that he literally had no interest in 5 minutes ago?
Well, look, I mean, like, Troy Aikman treats football teams like he treats women, right? He's got one in every state. He's got one in every city. And after about, a month, he's probably moving on to the next one. But here's the thing when it comes to Troy Aikman. This is not new for Troy Aikman. We all know that he carried those Dallas Cowboy teams to three Super Bowls in the 90s on his back with no help. Jerry Jones didn't help him out, never got him wide receivers, never got him running backs, never got him a Hall of Fame head coach. Never got him an offensive line. Nothing. Yeah. He did it all by himself. So if he can do that as a player, think about what he can do as a part-time front office disruptor. I'm excited. You know what? You reminded me how excited I am that Troy Aikman did this all by himself, because we've got nothing but calm waters ahead for the Miami Dolphins.
He's Sam Marcoux of the Perfectville podcast. Sam, what do you got coming up? If people want to tune in this offseason, like they've consumed all of the post Super Bowl content as Seahawks fans, and they're like, I want to hear what's going on down in Miami.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to be talking about coming up?
I'm probably not going to do another podcast till like August, if I'm being honest. I'm not very consistent. Maybe I'll break down Tua's arm motion when he throws the ball to the other team.
Okay, forget that promotion part. Sam, forget that promotion part. What comedy shows do you have coming up?
You know what's funny? I'm putting together, I can't reveal it all. I will eventually, and maybe you guys will help me out, but I am doing some comedy for a cause now. I'm doing a lot of the shows that I'm doing are tied into charities. It's a good way to hide money. But anyway, I'm doing some stuff with some Miami Dolphins alumni, some names that you guys will know and recognize and probably love just as football fans. So coming up soon, I'll reveal who that is and where that's going to be. I'm actually going to an open mic tonight when I'm done talking to you guys, because my neighbor 2 doors down stopped me today when I came home. This is a true story. He stopped me and he goes, "Hey, I have a secret and I want to tell you." And I'm like, he's leaving his wife or something. And he's like, "No, I've been taking comedy classes." I was like, "What a waste of time and money." And he's like, "And I've got my first show tonight." I'm like, "I'm going to be there. I have to see what this college course that he took is going to be." He's a great guy. I don't know if he's going to be funny or not, but I'm going to go and support. So if you're going to be in Livermore, California, by the time you listen to this, the show will be over. So hopefully you can time travel. You go to the R Place. It's a catfish little dive bar that I think is closing in 2 weeks. But I'm going to be there to support a bunch of middle-aged dudes doing comedy for the first time. It's like a fantasy camp for comics. It's amazing.
Man, that sounds like my future home right there. And I'm sure your friend will kill it, because we all know that, like, funny is learned in college in a course. Like, it's definitely not something from the inside. And I'm really glad that he took the time to develop that skill.
Yeah, he's his sons helped me and they like fixed my car. So I'm laughing either way, because like otherwise there's going to be a lug nut that comes off and I'm in trouble. So either way, he's getting good reviews from me.
All right. Well, speaking of former Seahawks / Dolphins, how's our guy Jordan Brooks doing?
Jordan Brooks, if you guys have not paid attention, thank you guys for, I don't know what decision making went into letting him go. He's our best player other than Devon Achane. I mean, he led the league in tackles last year, and I think he got like screwed out of about 17. I think he had 200 on the year, and they just said, that's too many. We're going to go ahead and give a couple of these to, Bradley Chubb or something, even though he wasn't suited up. No, Jordan Brooks, I don't know. I mean, I know he led the league when he was with you guys one year as well, but that dude just flies around. He's no nonsense. He got into a fight with Tyrell Dotson one time just because, I don't know, Tyrell didn't say hello, sir. I don't know what happened in the defensive huddle, but he just beat the shit out of him in a preseason game for no reason. And then they were cool after that. They drove to the strip club afterwards. We love him. Jordan Brooks is a guy. In fact, Jeff Hafley, or Half, as we like to call him, has already come out and said that he's like one of the building blocks going forward. So we're trying to take good care of him. He's going to get paid a whole heck of a lot of money. We're going to have to figure out a way for Tua to, throw him a bag or two after we cut him. But no, Jordan Brooks is our guy. He's ours now. You can't have him back. You don't need him.
Well, we don't need him back, but it's cool to hear that he's doing well at least, because
he's
I think
very beloved.
He might still be the third best linebacker on our team if he were still here. But that's I miss him a little bit, and I thought about him just ever so briefly when you brought up former Seahawks, and so I'm happy to hear he's doing well.
Yeah, he's like I don't know. He is too. I don't have a good one. He's good. I'm going to defend him to the death. I'm going to fight you.
He's Sam Marcoux again. Welcome to Perfectville. Check out the podcast. Check out his comedy. I'm sure he's got a page out there too, so that way you can follow along. If not, the Tiger Comedy out on X. I know he's got that as an X handle, and Perfectville as well. So Sam, really appreciate you coming on. And man, oh man, we both, our team, watch the Patriots get thumped coming up on Sunday.
I hope you go back. Thank you for having me on, and I hope you go back to Costco on Monday and you just slap the living catfish out of the back fat of that lady and say, no, thank you. We are champions yet again. You go back to whatever town you're from. Don't slap her, though. I'm against the violence, but you know,
imaginary slap. Yeah, virtual slap.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right.
She knows what she did. Sam. Yeah.
A big thanks once again to Sam Marcoux for coming on the show, talking a little bit about his Dolphins, talking a little bit about what he has seen facing off against the Patriots this year. And really, we just wanted to bring on our comedian friend to roast the Patriots a little bit.
Yeah, and it was a great time. I love Sam, and anytime that we get to, kind of go off the rails a little bit and have a little bit more fun with it, I always enjoy that. So that was sweet. But it's interesting hearing Sam talk about his belief as a, outsider in terms of, Patriots Seahawks, but he's very confident. He feels like they're going to go ahead and blow this team out. And I think as Seahawks fans, I think one of the things we're struggling with the most is coming into this game, being the favorite and clearly having the advantage in multiple matchups across the board. We feel confident about it. It's not a place that we live very often. And so it's been difficult, I think, for a lot of people to deal with the confidence that I think is well earned and well placed coming into this matchup.
Fortunately for me, I feel like I've had a little bit of practice leading up to this game because I was very confident going into the matchup against the Niners. I was confident going up into the matchup against the Rams. That one a little bit less so because those teams, to me, just based off what we'd seen, had been so even. Yeah. And so I guess if I'm going to place my confidence level, it's not as high as the confidence level was going up against the Niners, especially after we destroyed them. And then we're facing them again in the playoffs. Like that would probably be the all-time high confidence, but it's not the same confidence as the Rams. Like I have more confidence in this game against the Patriots than I did going up against the Rams.
I do as well, because that Rams team, top to bottom as a whole, if you go down the line by line, is more talented than this Patriots team at this point. Look, we've talked a lot of crap about the Patriots on this show for the last couple of weeks and even tonight. But that said, nothing but respect in terms of the fact that they have gotten here, and it's been a long journey to get back. I'm sure it has felt that way for them. I mean, 3 cups of coffee before they, had their last appearance in the Super Bowl, but you're a year ahead. You're a year ahead of schedule, if not 2. This team feels so much like the Washington Commanders team from last year in terms of punching above their weight, getting further than they should. But then when it comes time to face the eventual Super Bowl champion, it's lights out.
Yeah. And we do have a Patriots fan who joined us in chat, and I don't know if he's talking to a commenter who is biased, but, we are also biased as Seahawks fans, just as you are likely biased as a Patriots fan. So I think we all have our biases.
I saw his earlier comment, I wish everybody watched just the film, and then you wouldn't be biased. And look, that stuff annoys me to no end because, watch plenty of film. And it's because of watching the film and then watching the game and then listening to other experts talk about it and then going back and watching the film again and then having my own opinion after all of that, I come to an undeniable conclusion that in multiple position groups across the board throughout this game, that it is advantage Seahawks. And it's not just us saying that. It's not just a bias. Like, and in fact, I think as Seahawks fans as a whole, we're generally the type to be like, yeah, man, I don't know. We win. Like, it'll be like, we're just not like that, you know? And I see, okay, so Pat Station coming back, not you guys. And that's fine. Okay. Well, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to push back too hard.
Push back a little bit. I mean, and I will recognize that, yes, we are biased because this is a Seahawks fan show. And so to us, there is going to be a little bit of bias, but that's part of the fun of watching football too. And part of the fun of watching a lot of shows leading up to this week has been seeing a lot of media join us on our side a little bit going into this game. So the one thing that hasn't been fun, though, in the media, Adam, is hearing that our offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, could be going to the Raiders. And the reason I say that is because there's still a little part of me that believes that, hey, it's not finalized yet, so it might not happen, but it's probably going to happen.
I love that you put could on that, because there's a participant in this Super Bowl that was going to be the head coach of a football team and basically left them at the altar last minute, and that's Josh McDaniels. He did it to the Colts but just a few years ago. So isn't it probably a done deal that Kubiak goes to the Raiders? It sounds like it. And listening to some of Mike's comments in his press conference leads me to believe that, it's probably a done deal, and that really hurts my feelings. And we can go on about that for a while if we want, but I mean, there's a chance it doesn't work out, that they get into the contract nitty gritties and are like, no, like this isn't going to work or whatever it is.
Well, even the tweet was very hedged of him accepting the job, as him saying that they're going to try and work out a deal, or it was very hedgy the way that the agreement apparently was in place. And that's because they really can't talk all those kinds of terms. This is one component, though, that I do think is worth discussing as far as this upcoming matchup, because I will say that it does concern me that Clint Kubiak, instead of preparing 100% for this game coming up, there's a little bit of him thinking, okay, if I'm going to take this job, then who's my OC going to be? Who's my DC going to be? How am I going to fill out a coaching staff here in Vegas? Like, all of those initial components that go toward being a head coach, like those things, like I don't think he's starting to think, okay, well, what are we going to do with the number one draft pick? I don't think it goes that deep, but I think those first level components of, okay, maybe I should just browse and see what the housing market looks like around Vegas. Like those types of top level things, I feel like are things that could creep into your mind, whereas instead of just being fully consumed at the task at hand.
Well, I would say that if there's anybody in the world that I would believe that would be very laser focused on the task, it'd be Clint Kubiak. He is that whole family, that whole Kubiak family. And you go back, you listen to his dad, Gary, you listen to his brother, and they're just no BS. They are laser focused on whatever they're doing at any given time. And they're not too up, they're not too down, all the stuff. Right. I think that this is the type of guy who's wired to say, I'm giving it my all for this team this week, and whoever I need to hire will be there next week or they won't. And then we'll go on from there. I think he feels a commitment, just judging by his personality, that he needs to finish out the job he's been hired and paid to do now before he starts doing the next one. And so I don't worry about that creeping in. Mike's not the type of coach that would let that creep into his team. And there's going to be guys out there. Honestly, look, if we trade having a great OC for 1 year for a chip, I'll do it. But I've been wanting this dude in this style forever. So it does hurt my feelings. But my number one concern coming out of this, Brandon, does he take Benton with him? Do we lose our offensive line coach?
He would have to give him some kind of promotion, I think, to take him with him. If we wanted to hardball it, I think. But I don't know if you saw this, but the Eagles let go of their offensive line.
That's where I was going with this. Yeah.
and if they have a lead there somehow, I think that would be a nice little pillow to fall onto.
It really would. So Jeff Stoutland, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are because we're that popular, there may be a job opening. And look, the weather's nice out in Seattle. I know they tell you all about the rain, but it's honestly pretty good. And like, there's a lot going on out there. You don't have to deal with a Philly fan yelling at you all the time for like no reason. Like we like our teams and our players. So welcome. You come on in if Kubiak takes Benton, because losing the OC, look, it's going to happen when you have success. And I think I want to hear what you have to say about this, actually, Brandon, is that everybody's like, well, this is what happens when you've got a defensive guy. Like, at the end of the day, you're going to lose your OC, and then, then where are you? Well, why doesn't the same thing apply to the offensive coaches when they lose their DCs after having great years? Like, nobody seems to think that's an issue.
Well, Ravens fans think that's an issue. I guarantee that, because they see the success that Mike Macdonald has had with our Seahawks, and they look at the fact that they're now going from Harbaugh to who did they end up getting Minter? That's not a bad hire than I think behind.
It looks
John
good
Harbaugh
right now. Yeah, and it could be great. Yeah,
it could end up being great, but that does feel like a consolation prize as Jesse Minter being, maybe I would think the lesser Mike Macdonald.
Wow, shot fired to Jesse Minter, man. Yeah, I think
he
now
was the guy that they replaced.
Didn't
he replace Mike at Michigan after?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. And then went and worked with Harbaugh down in LI, and then now he's replacing the other Harbaugh. So good for them. But everybody acts like this is a problem, the brain drain that only defensive coaches go through after they have success. And it's just not the case, because everybody's obsessed with offense and fantasy and all that crap. And I just think it's an unfair criticism of higher end defensive guys.
All right. We've got one more argument here from Pat's Nation in the chat. And
I think he's responded to some of the other chatters here.
But yeah. And I've been letting that go because it's fun. And really, I don't want to get back into it because it's a lot of stuff that we already covered in the first half of the show. But this was something that I had a couple narratives that I wanted to get to and do better. And since Pat's Nation brought it up here, I'll cover one of them now. And it is, how are the Seahawks battle tested, though, especially in these playoffs? A broken down Niners team, an awful defensive Rams team. And I think you're overlooking the fact we literally have 2,000 Ravens numbers.
Okay, that's great. Against who? Against who? In this, you say
the top defense, the two or three of the top 5 defenses in the league, Adam.
Yeah, okay. So he brings up the Niners here, a broken down Niners team. And the thing is that short of the injuries, this Niners team and this Pats team did similar things this year. Won a ton of games that surprised you after playing a third place schedule for the Niners and a fourth place. No, the Niners finished dead last year. They also placed a fourth place schedule and racked up a bunch of wins against bad opponents. Like, that's exactly what happened. And so the Niners looked good on paper. And if you remember going into those Niners games, like, you listened to most of the national punditry and they would have told you, boy, this is a battle. This is a coin flip. And it wasn't a matchup. It was a mismatch. And the Rams defense being bad, like, dude, like, for real, go back and watch some film. Like, are their corners the best? No. But this was not even close to a bad defense. That's for sure.
I think in terms of defensive lines, I would give the Patriots the edge on the interior over the Rams defensive line, but the Rams defensive edges are better than these Patriots edges. Right? And the linebackers, I think that's probably a wash.
I think traditionally Spillane's been levels above Landman.
But Landman had a really good year.
This is what I was going to say. I think if you're just looking at this year, those are pretty comparable players. And it's a little like, if we're going back and forth about matchups in this game, one of the things we usually don't do, but let's do it here, is like, we do the quarterback comparison. And when we look at quarterback play for just this year, Sam Darnold had the better year against tougher opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And
he did have more turnovers than May, but May has had more turnovers leading up in these last few weeks when he's been playing the top defenses.
Exactly. At the end of the day, will Drake May be a superior quarterback to Sam Darnold? I think that's very much in play. I think that's something that could happen over the years. But right now, this year, today, it's not leaps and bounds Drake May.
Yeah. I think that, to draw a comparison to the NFC, if the Eagles would have made it to the Super Bowl, I think that the Patriots would have been able to beat this Eagles team, just like the Niners were able to beat the Eagles in the playoffs. Like that.
Right.
Other teams that were in the playoffs the funny thing is we could get to the game, and like the thing about the Patriots is they are still a good enough football team. Like they have a path to victory. Like it is possible. It's just we're looking at the what's more likely based on what we've seen throughout the year and throughout the playoffs. So
it's just a very, very narrow path that they have to walk. And listening to or seeing Pat's comment here regarding the matchup, and this is just like the Chargers. Like in no way, shape, or form, our defense is levels above what you saw with the Chargers. And then guess what we also have that the Chargers did at that time? We have these things called tackles. And not only do we have them, but they're top 10 tackles at both sides. I heard you say that the right side of the line was weak for Seattle. Say that to Abe Lucas's face, because he is levels above Morgan Moses. If you want to point at Bradford and say that he's got his down moments, absolutely. That is the weakest link. No doubt about it. But Sundell is very good. And Zabel's been fantastic, and Charles Cross is a top 10 left tackle.
Yeah, and Pat's Nation saying we both have a weak side on our offensive line. It's not a weak side. It's a weak. I think both lines have a weak interior. I am concerned about the center right guard, but I feel like the concerns are kind of all over the Patriots offensive line, to be honest.
Well, at the end of the day, if you told me at the beginning of this year, would I rather have Garrett Bradbury or Jalen Sundell? I would have said Sundell all day.
That's a huge, when we weren't even sure if Sundell would necessarily be the starting center.
Yeah. And now here at the end of the year, would I take Bradbury or Sundell? Sundell all day without question.
All right. Well, looking back at the awards ceremony, yes, Jackson Smith and Jigba won Offensive Player of the Year. Matt Stafford ended up being the NFL MVP.
Great thing to retire on,
And speaking of things that might be great to retire on, although I don't know if Bobby Wagner's ready to retire, but he was the Walter Payton Man of the Year. So a big congrats to our former Seahawks player, Bobby Wagner.
Hey, that's awesome for B-Wags. Love us, B-Wags, always and forever. And whatever, anytime B-Wags gets an honor, deserved and probably overdue, and give him another.
Right. All right. Well, people who also deserve awards, it's our executive producers for hanging in there with us throughout the season, helping to support the show. We've got DCH, Doug, Chancel, Harry. We've got Ryan Peterson, our YouTube live executive producer, Brian Shaw. We've got JC Schilling in the 313th, and Stephen Kirkpatrick as well. We're going to be doing a big thanks to all of our $12 supporters and above coming up on the next show. I thought about doing this one, but, the season will be ending after this show, Adam. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, why don't I push it back 1 week? We thank everybody at the end of the season. Thank all of our $12 supporters at the end. Gettintheflock.com if you want to help support the show. We got Michael Knight, who's a new member out on the YouTube channel. So he's been supporting us. He's also joining out on YouTube. And want to thank Michael Knight and everybody who helps support the show at gettintheflock.com, Adam.
Get the Flock. Appreciate all those guys. And just one more from Pat's Nation here. Our blitzes are way up in the playoffs because we're fully healthy again, so we can play man coverage more. It's normal, about 20% to now 40%. I dare you. I dare you to do this. Please blitz, and please play man. Do that. The Seahawks offense will score 35 if you play 40% man. JSN absolutely torches man coverage. It doesn't matter who it is.
Hey, Sam, bless y'all. It's going to be a good one. May the best team win. I hope so. Pat's
Back
Nation.
to you, buddy. Back to
yeah,
you, for sure. It takes balls to be in the opposing
fans.
fans.
See what
comments.
we have to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Northern Primate with a $10 super chat saying, thanks, my dude. Sorry I was late. Yeah, Northern Primate, appreciate you coming in.
No worries. No time clocks here, buddy.
Yeah,
no time
absolutely.
clocks.
Yeah, we're going to get into some do better and better at life. But is there anything before we do, Adam, that we need to get into before we move on to some do better?
This has been such a tremendous season. And I think the one thing that I want to put here, because I do think it's important, coming from the number one doubting Darnold in all the world, is that after his performance last week, even if for some reason, and I genuinely do not think this is going to happen, he throws 4 ridiculous picks. We do not go back to the old narrative.
No.
That dragon was slayed. Now, the next dragon is how consistently can he play at a high level in the big games? And again, we say it all the time, bad to good, good to great. The difference is consistency, because they're all very talented people. And so as excited as I am about this game and confident as I'm feeling going in, I just wanted to make sure that we put this in the universe right now, that even if the worst should happen, the seeing ghost narrative, all that fucking nonsense, it's dead. It's gone. And it cannot come back.
No, we've seen enough now. I'm ready to roll with Sam for seasons. And because, he's moving into that's my quarterback territory for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have a question about that for the offseason in terms of how many years? How many years is Sam Darnold the starting quarterback of this team? I think it's a fascinating discussion.
It's a fascinating discussion, and it is definitely an off-season topic, and it does go into, how you feel about Jalen Milroe, and I think there's going to be a lot more to look at with Milroe and preseasons coming up too, to where you start to where that thought might creep into your head a little bit more. But yeah, plenty to talk about in this off-season. The thing I wanted to touch on is the fact that this has been just the third time since we've started the show that we've been able to cover an entire NFL season where our team has played every week of the season outside of the bye weeks, obviously, but just recognize it, like that's a really cool percentage. And I appreciate that we've been able to, from the 2 years when we started the show, now here in 2026, to be able to do it once again. And the one thing that we haven't really talked about is the great play that Malcolm Butler made back in that Super Bowl 49. And this week, these last couple of weeks have been therapy for me, Adam, because we've had to hear it discussed so much, and that now I think that it's finally helped to heal me.
That's good. I'm glad that's healed you. That's nice.
Helped to heal me.
I went over to our buddy James's place the other night, and we're just sitting there talking ball. And for whatever reason, 49 was on NFL Network, and so we're watching it. And I'm watching the plays click off, and like we're up 10 with like 12 minutes left in the fourth or whatever the hell it was. And I'm just looking at him being like, we still lost this game. And then, and on and on and on. And I looked at it at one point. I was like, after the curse catch, I'm done. I'm out of here. I am not watching the play that shall not be talked about. Like, I'm not doing it. And I did watch it.
Were you true to your word?
Nope. I watched it, and wish I hadn't. There's no healing that I've had regarding that. The angriest I've ever been at sports ball, ever by far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And honestly, the incessance of the rest of the world to harken back to that one play over and over and over again, it gets under my skin in a way that I have a hard time putting into words, but I'm going to try here and do better.
All right, let's hear what you got with do better, because I have a feeling, especially after those Monday media press conferences, and the fact that it wasn't just our head coach that got asked about it. It was multiple players. And you go into it, because I don't want to step completely on your do better.
Well, I can't wait for you to add on to it and tell me what you heard, because I only listened to Mike's.
Okay.
And after listening to that, I had no stomach to listen to any other one. So my do better this week, Brandon, is for every dumb motherfucker that walked up to the stage and like, hey Mike, if it's like third down and like there's 20 seconds left and you got, you can go for it. Should you run the ball? Should you pass the ball? And like run off like they just told the funniest fucking joke in the history of fucking jokes. And it was so stupid. The first one, Mike handles pretty beautifully. And he's like, yeah, man, okay, da-da-da. And he goes on. Then I think it was the dude from Bussin' with the Boys who came on and asked the second one. And clearly he must not have been there for the first one. Actually, I like Compton. I think he's pretty talented overall. But shut your fucking mouth on this one. He asked it again. Mike's annoyed. I'm pissed off. And I'm like, all right, end of that nonsense, right? This didn't happen once. This didn't happen twice. This happened 5 motherfucking times that they asked this by the time that Mike got to the end of it. And he's like, I'm done answering that question. And then I thought he had the most amazing, classy answer after that regarding, hey, those guys had to do so much to get here. And he gives Pete and crew and everybody that was on those teams a bunch of fucking credit. And I thought that was awesome. But to every one of you that comes up and thinks that that's somehow some new amazing joke on the world, number one, it's the play that shall not be talked about for a fucking reason. Okay? We don't talk about that because it's not worth talking about. It happened 10 goddamn years ago. And then to ask Mike that question as if anything is the same today is such fucking bullshit. And the questions just on and on and on. And they didn't even have to do with that are so stupid. These media day things, like, not even worth watching. Why do we even do them? They give press credentials to anybody that has a pulse. Like, it's so fucking bad. I hated it, Brandon. I love the way that Mike handled it. But to every one of those stupid assholes, shut the fuck up and do better.
And Wooden Chat saying, can I get an amen?
Amen, brother.
Yeah, see, that's why mine's going to feel tame to in comparison now, because it would just, I think that was part of the healing process for me, though, too, was hearing some of that and realizing you can ask that question to Mike Macdonald. You can ask that question to Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold did get that question, too. Would you throw the ball on third down? And he said, yeah. And you know why it's okay? We don't have Marshawn in the backfield for one of them. And
yeah,
like that's the thing that stands out is that everybody getting asked this question, they have nothing to do with that Seahawks team that played the Patriots so long ago. Oh, the only guy that was even affiliated, was Mike Vrabel even on that team?
He was not.
Right. So how many Patriots Josh McDaniels. He was the one guy.
He's the one dude. Ask him. You know what? I think they should have prepped themselves better going into those pressers and be like, when they ask you this dumbass question over and over and over again, say, oh, I'd do neither. I'd punt. Just with a dead face.
Yeah.
That's what they deserve.
That would have been a little bit more comical answer, I guess. I thought Mike handled it well.
He did
I think
great.
And that was the one thing that I was super proud about Mike, because an hour, he has a hard time with 20 minutes with Bronk and Salk of trying to be thoughtful about media questions. Mm-hmm. And just because a lot of times media questions, it's not the way that a coach brain like Mike's thinks. And so it's like he has to hear the question, translate it into his mind of how could I answer this that's not in, football, my Mike Macdonald football brain speak, and then translate it back to an audience. Like, you can see that working throughout his normal media interviews. So to go from that then to go to questions that are way, way below that level and being I'm going to ask a silly question because I'm going to put it up on my Instagram. I'm going to put it up on my TikTok. That's what it's for. And I don't necessarily see that going away, because maybe there's a place for that too. Maybe the NFL wants that a little bit. It wants all these little influencers talking about the questions that they asked on Super Bowl Media Day, and getting to see, I don't know, Sam Darnold wearing a piece of ham hat because people are ham for Sam.
What does that even mean?
It's because the Patriots have that saying that they're gay for May. And so that somebody else was trying to start up a saying for Sam, ham for Sam.
I'm happy for Drake too. This is so stupid. This is what
silly. It's silly.
It's so effing dumb. And I just can't deal with it. I can't. And so I tuned it out, dude. Like, just nope. Who gains value from any of that?
Oh, the people who are influencers that put it on their Instagram and TikTok feed.
They shouldn't. Golly. You know, the other one was Damashek's bit about, is this a must-win game?
Oh, yeah. Mike had a good answer for that, too, didn't he? Oh, it wasn't. No, Damashek had a different question because somebody stole that from Damashek and asked it.
Oh, I heard him ask it at least once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I just don't understand why we waste our time with any of that. Why we waste the coach's time with any of that. Like, it's such nonsense.
It's buzz. It's purely for buzz. That's all it is.
Well, that's who I am, Brandon. I am definitely about sizzle and not steak. That is where I live, no doubt.
All right. Well, to my I do better, it is the annoying narratives that we've had. And we've talked a little bit about some of the narratives that we've seen so far. And we got into the conversation about, maybe the Seahawks not being prepared based on their opponents. That was one that came out from Mike Florio, Adam, on Pro Football Talk that I heard, is that the Seahawks, they could be at a disadvantage going into this game against the Patriots because they've spent all of the playoffs game planning for teams that they've already had to play before. And that to me seemed like one of the weirdest, silliest types of narratives that you could even think of to try and switch this around to seem like a weakness, because I would have to think that trying to game plan against a team that knows you so well, and especially coaches like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, who are very good offensive minds, that they're going to look at some of those past games, look at your defense, and try and figure out those weaknesses that they can exploit. And so I would think that would make it tougher as a defensive coach to try and think of, okay, well, how are they going to change offensively? How do we need to change to attack or to defend against what they might have? I feel like that's a higher degree of difficulty than in the playoffs, more so than, oh, well, it's easy because you dust off the game plan that you played against these other teams, like the Arizona Cardinals, which you could probably do that with. But so, yes, for that annoying narrative. And then another one, I heard a Patriots fan go on who's the Cats and PFT commenter, the those guys.
PFT and Big Cat.
Yeah, what's the name of their show?
I can't remember any of that stuff, dude. Don't ask me that sort of thing. But we know who they are. We know what showed it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, chat might be able to help me out. But it might be Pardon My Take now. I think they may have taken over Pardon My Take.
There it is.
Yeah, they had a Patriots fan on, and this was my favorite one. What if you take out the NFC West teams that our Seahawks have played against? Then who have they played this year? Who have the Seahawks actually beaten who is a top-tier opponent if you take out the NFC West teams? Oh, I don't know. You just take off 6 games out of their schedule of teams that won 10-plus games, and suddenly that makes them a less scary team? Oh, except for the fact that, I don't know, they walked into the Texans' house, played the Texans, defeated that defense, and a defense that was supposedly the top defense in the NFL, and Sam Darnold didn't have any problem torching that defense, and Derek Stingley with JSN. So, yeah, I'm not going to see a defense that is any better than that coming up. And they went on to beat the Jaguars. And at the time, we were thinking, gosh, this Jaguars team, they're nobody. Oh, they ended up being one of the top teams in the playoffs, making the playoffs in the AFC. And we did just fine with the Jaguars. So to anybody trying to create a narrative that the Seahawks somehow they're at a disadvantage who they've game planned, or they're at a disadvantage because who have they really beaten outside of, I don't know, only the other best teams in the NFL, do better.
Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about Florio here first. I mean, it truly takes a lawyer to twist things around in a way to come up with something like that. I mean, well, they only got to play. They only had the game plan against the people that the game plan against. Okay, well, great. So let's say that's easier, which it's not. You pointed that out. I think that's a great point. But let's just say that it is. So they're at a disadvantage because they had more time than just on their hands, since it's so damn easy that they could go and start game planning for the AFC people. Like, that doesn't happen. Like and then that puts them at a disadvantage. Okay, lawyer guy, that makes all the sense that a lawyer does. And then, the idea that it's somehow makes it, I don't understand what the disadvantage is. Like, they have to game plan for X amount of teams for X amount of hours, just like the Patriots have to do for X amount of teams for X amount of hours. Where could there possibly be a disadvantage created for the Seahawks in there? Nowhere, except for in the land of freaking gobbledygook and lawyer nonsense. So there's Florio for you. I love the if you take out over a third of their schedule against the good teams, then who have they played? Well, I mean, they played those teams.
Adam, if you take out all the good teams, who have they really beaten?
Yeah, I mean,
only bad teams.
Yeah, I mean, if we just ignore, 35% of reality in terms of how many of the good teams that they've played, then they're just not good at all. They're just total frauds. But all you have to do is suspend your belief in things that happened that we all saw on camera over the course of a fucking year, and then you can say they've never really played each other. Just stupid, dude. Just freaking stupid.
You know who he didn't lose to was the Las Vegas Raiders, or almost lose to the Miami Dolphins. Like, I know that didn't happen about our teams.
All true facts. How many total points did we lose to teams by, Brandon? Because we have 3 losses. It's hard to remember because our last loss was something like 11, 12 weeks ago. Like, it feels like 2 lifetimes ago, really.
If I were to guess, I would put the number around 7. I don't have
it
right
11
off the top of my head.
is my guess. Yeah.
Because we lost to the Rams by 1.
Yes.
We lost to the Bucks by 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Oh, Nate in chat, I think he has the number. He says 9 total points.
And all the losses, not just the Rams, like all the
losses for the entire 2025 season.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know why? It's because if you take out the teams that were good, we just didn't play anybody.
Didn't beat the Panthers, who were almost a playoff team. Didn't beat the Steelers, who were a playoff team. Yeah, we didn't beat anybody.
No. But the Patriots are real, man. I mean, like they went through that murderer's row there in the AFC. So
on to better at life.
All right, man. My better at life is for a group of monks that they started doing a peace walk from Texas to Washington, D.C., and they have been trekking along for 2,300 miles across 8 states, wintertime, freezing temperatures. And the whole point of their walk is, look, everything's so divided. We're up and down. I'm yelling at Pats fans today. Like, people are yelling about world events, like all this stuff, right? And these guys decided that they wanted to do something that maybe brought the world together a little bit. Maybe calm the waters, take the temperature down. And that's what these fellows have done, man. I mean, just think about that. Walking 2,300 miles from Texas to DC to raise awareness of, just finding a more peaceful way with one another. And it's been really cool. Like, they've been staying at churches and universities and all that. And they've gotten a ton of recognition as they've continued and gotten closer and closer and closer here to DC. They even brought their dog along with them. They call it the Peace Dog, Aloka. And that is pretty cool as well. And I can't do this live very well, right? Going through the article here and finding exactly the name of the group and which monastery they came from. I can't seem to find it right here off the top of my head. I just thought it was a cool story, and I like where their head's at. And it's really been impactful to a lot of people, and they've been drawing a lot of crowds. And I hope it continues, man. So to those dudes and what has to be some very aching feet, you guys are better at life than Skip Bayless.
That's a heck of a walk, man. Yeah, I had not heard about that, But really, the only news that I've been consuming here leading up to the Super Bowl has been sports news. So that's all I've really needed these past couple weeks because, as I mentioned, there's so much of it.
Yeah, there is, man. And it is such a stark contrast to when we did this our very first year. And, look, one of the things that we can take away is that by us starting the show, we ushered in an era of Seahawks football that now has 3 Super Bowl appearances in 10 years. 30% of the time, we're in the Super Bowl every time. So you're welcome.
10 years, 12 years, 13 years. It's right in there.
Dude, I just made up the math on the spot just for the fun of it. So don't even worry about it.
It's all fun. My Better at Life this week is for the NFL, Adam. The NFL who has allowed us to be in this Super Bowl. I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theory that it was, have you seen this one, that it was Drake May and Sam Darnold who were like at the front of this graphic that they posted early on in the season that was like the path to the Super Bowl. It was like all the quarterbacks walking toward Santa Clara. There was some kind of graphic, and it was funny because Drake May and Sam Darnold were at the front. But no, NFL Better at Life because of their announcement that the Rams and Niners are playing in the Melbourne game, which is a little bit of a bummer.
I hate that.
A little bit of a bummer. I hate that too. But then I thought about it a little bit more and why it's my Better at Life. Because, Adam, if dirty Niners fans thought that having an electrical substation next to their practice facility was a bad thing, well, buds, we hope you have a great time visiting a country that has thousands of snakes, saltwater crocodiles, and unlimited poisonous spiders. Heck, don't just send the Niners there, send the Rams there too. See how those guys fare down under. And for sending our NFC West opponents to kick off the season in a land full of dangerous things that, maybe they'll come back from. The NFL, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Yeah. I wanted to go to Australia, dude.
I did too. I had to do this as cope. I had to cope with the idea that we weren't going to go. And
all I can say
I already had my do better. So
to both those organizations is stay on the pavement and the sidewalks, man. Like don't step a toe off there. Pretend like you're in the bayou. Like, yeah.
Walk on the sidewalks.
On the sidewalks. I do when I am down south. I do not get off of the beaten path. I absolutely not.
Well, the other good thing is that Seahawks will have good representation from our Seahawks fans at the game who can just go there and boo both sides.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose. I did see that Grant Cohn had an interview with a scientist. I mean, she was a legit scientist, and but it was interesting to watch her like walk through this substation thing and try to like declare it as real. But where she lost me and why I kind of put scientists in quotes is at one point she says, it's not like we need a double blind, controlled study on this to say that it's true. And it's like, no, that's exactly what we need. And like, you just put out a lot of prognostication about we didn't evolve with AC currents and CMC's Achilles. And like, it was just freaking stupid. Like that fan base. If any Pats fan that's listened to this far and we've crapped on you a bunch, trust me, you're far better than those jokers down in Santa Clara. And I cannot wait, Brandon. I cannot wait because it's just days away. We are going to hoist the Lombardi on the 49ers fucking field. Suck it all day. We're about to be champs.
Tapwater in chat saying, I want to see the Hawks instead of the two teams I hate the most. Yeah, Tapwater. I don't blame you being down in Australia if you decide not to go to that football game because, you don't want to see that. And I wanted to bring up the fact, too, that I was listening. So it wasn't completely all non-sports media for me. I also listened to the We're Not Wrong podcast, and a good friend of mine, Jen Briney, who is a Patriots fan, and her husband is a Seahawks fan. So they have a house divided. I wanted to hear if they talked a little bit about that on their show, but they brought up the substation theory a couple weeks ago on the We're Not Wrong podcast, political podcast, but sometimes they talk fun stuff too. And they had an emailer write in and say, oh, you know what's funny about the substation theory is that Santa Clara is where the 49ers have practiced all along for the past 35 years. So
nope. So
it's
the
not even a new
substation was
thing.
different. It's different now. It was way smaller then, and because of all the tech companies, it had to get bigger. And it's because it's bigger that Kyle Shanahan can't keep anybody healthy. See, it's not Kyle's fault. It's not Kyle's fault. It's not Kyle's fault. Like they're just so indoctrinated in crybaby Kyle's. It's never my fault. Like it's unbelievable.
Well, I can't wait. The fact that the potential is there for us to be raising. Oh, I know 49ers fans hate it so much. They hated it when we won on their field on Thanksgiving, and they're going to hate it even more when it is our Seahawks and Sam freaking Darnold holding up that trophy at midfield as our Seahawks are winning their second Super Bowl, Adam.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's drive the stake through the Patriots' heart.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.